Episode 2. I'm sitting here. This is how I am. I told you it's going to be nice and raw and rugged. I'm not going to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. Anyway, Building Legacy, Episode 2. I want to talk about funding. So essentially about a year ago, February 2018 actually, I had the privilege of meeting a woman called Arlan Hamilton at an event, a fireside event that was hosted and cheered by a good friend of mine, Andy Iam, who is now the managing director of the accelerator for Backstage Capital, which is run by Arlan Hamilton. I'm going to get to my point. So anyway, I've been talking online, having a bit of banter with Arlan online and finding out how she was able to build her VC brand in the way that she did. Now, I love what she's done. I'm not the biggest fan of venture capital. I think there are things that can be done in order to help companies raise money. And I think venture capital has a place to play. But I also think there's money around angel investment. I think there are individuals in other private equity streams and even with extended loans that people can have to build companies. So I met her anyway, and at this great event, and I thought, man, do you know what? I really want to be able to do something of the same equivalence in the UK. I want to be able to build a platform, an ecosystem where a lot of underrepresented or unheard Black founders could actually speak and raise their voices about the products and companies that they were building or thinking about building. And obviously, one of the biggest issues that we have in the community is about access to financing. And I wanted to be able to prove for myself that we're able to do that. So, been sitting and looking at a number of crowdfunding platforms, and my ambition, and I'm just putting it out there, is that I'm going to raise £1 million from equity crowdfunding. This is to give away a small proportion of the holding company for Legacy 71 to others to be able to invest in that future, to invest in the legacy that we have, to be able to create that an amazing platform. £1 million people. Sorry, £1 million, you may say. £1 million people. Wow, I wish you could reach more than £1 million people. But £1 million, some people say to me, Dave, how are you going to do that? And to be fair, I've had individuals who said to me, look, you can go out there and you can get at least four people, £250,000, and Dave, you're good. You know you've got individuals within your net worth that can do that. And that's cool. And I think there's room for that probably further down the line in terms of the funds that we want to raise and the people that we want to work with. And again, as I said, even though I don't necessarily want to position ourselves as a VC fund, I want to be able to know that people know we have access to that kind of finance. So why $1 million? Well, here's a simple methodology behind it. So my parents came here from the Caribbean in the late 60s. And they were able, they came here in their 20s, but in their 30s, they were able to buy a house. They were able to get cars. And one of the things I know, and even have land back home in the Caribbean. And one of the ways that my parents from the Caribbean were able to do that is because they were part of a network. What the official kind of like westernized name is Revolving Credit and Association. But in the Caribbean, we call it Partner, which is an extension of the word partner, but we call it Partner. And what that meant was everybody would put a bit of money in to be able to support the cause. So say, for example, if they were 10 of them and they put in £100 each, whenever that revolved, it might be £25 a week or £100 a month. What it meant, if there were 10 of them, then at least one of the 10 would have access to a grand in capital in any one given time, which was helpful to be able to put down a house, to be able to buy a car, to do all the things that they wanted to do in the community, especially when a lot of banks and financial institutions weren't serving Black professionals or Black migrants to the country. And for many years, and even to this day, I think a lot of the first generation migrant Caribbean, and I believe the same is in African communities. I think they do susu. I think in South Africa it's called stokvel, something similar. It was that collaborative economics. And part of what I want to do, and part of my vision here in Legacy 71, is to create that kind of group economic, that kind of collaborative economics, so that when we are looking to be able to fund that, look, even though there are these big VC funds who may not necessarily see the light or see the vision behind some incredible companies that can build products and services and tech, because they're looking for unicorns. They're looking for these billion-dollar companies that can be IPO'd. Nothing wrong with that. Again, as I said in Legacy, we're looking for elephants. We're not looking for unicorns. We're looking for companies that we can grow together as a community, but that will be long-standing, that will have a good memory. Look, some may sell out, some may go and do IPOs. That's not a problem at all. But I'm more excited about being able to create organizations that can have 500,000, a million, £2 million worth of revenue, still hold on to a fair amount of their equity, still drive exactly what it is that they're doing. So by leading by example, in March, and I'm slow dripping this, in March, I'm going to be releasing my campaign. And I'll be talking about this quite a bit. And if you go to the website, www.legacy71.com, I want you to subscribe to the newsletter because I'm going to be starting to talk about how this campaign is going to work. But essentially, this is the model. I'm looking for 1,000 people who can commit to £1,000. I know some people said, look, David, I don't necessarily have £1,000 together. Can I come together as a syndicate? And, maybe 10 of us put together £100 and we get £1,000 and we're able to take a stake in the company. And that's totally fine as well. But I know 1,000 people, £1,000 each, they all put it in, we'll be able to raise £1 million. Some people say to me, oh my gosh, Dave, you're thinking about, having to manage 1,000 people. And I'm like, well, look, some of the big companies and some of the, the huge companies that have IPO'd and gone to, they've got more than 1,000 shares. So why not start with a good intent now? And so the idea is that, again, as I said, in Legacy 71, we're putting together a campaign and we're working with videographers, working around our PR campaign, going to be working around with an equity crowdfunding platform, which I will reveal in due course, to raise that £1 million. And we're going to use that as part of our working capital to really get the system going around our academy, around our syllabus, around the conference that we're going to host, around the infrastructure that we're going to be able to use to build those companies, and also be able to have some money set aside so that if we need, when we're going on our campaigns, to provide some seed funding for some of the companies that will come through our programs. I'm really excited about this. I don't think it's ever been done before. I think it's an actual unique model. There are some naysayers. There's some people who are going to go to me, oh my gosh, Dave, are you sure you really want to do this? Because it could be a lot of headache. And I'm thinking, look, do you know what I mean? It's 1,000 people, for flipping hell's sake. I look in my own personal directory, think about my LinkedIn. I've got about 7,500 people following me there. When I was on Twitter, I had 14,000 before I came out of there. But even on my own personal list, on my own personal contact list, I've got over 6,000 people. If I can't find 1,000 people, either from my direct network or individuals who I've worked with in the wider community who can't put in £1,000, then why am I even doing this in the first place? Especially if I'm talking about going out there to help raise millions for other companies. So yeah, I'm really excited. I haven't really spoken about this much, but again, as I said, I was really inspired by Arlen Hamilton when she came over to the UK last year to really be fired up about how can we go out there and raise that money. And there are some amazing organizations out there. I'm going to shout them out, like, oh my gosh. So YSYS and Foundervine, some of the younger ones who are working with a lot of millennials, there's 10x10. They're really working to really build that platform. Obviously, Backstage Capital are coming on to the scene now. And of course, there are others like Wyra, some of the mainstream ones like Founders Factory, who are still, accommodating for founders of Pan-African descent. But again, without apology, Legacy 71, we are targeting those startups where there is a black founder with a controlling interest in that company. So we can talk about representation. We can talk about changing the narrative without asking or forcing people for quotas or forcing people to go, please, can you give us a little bit of your money? Because we're going to start working on building that platform for ourselves. So that's it. £1 million. That's my target. And I'm aiming to do that before the halfway through this year. I believe in having those big, massive, hairy, audacious goals. I'm going out on a limb, and yeah, I'm taking all comers. I don't care where you come from. If you're invested in being able to help, again, as I said, black founders take their companies to the next level, bring it on. For me, a lot of people say, Dave, this is a bit pro-black, and I say, that's true, but pro-black doesn't mean anti-white. Pro-black means that in many essences, or in essence for me, is that what we're trying to do is to create opportunities for black professionals who are often missed out on the narrative. Those ones who don't get covered in your TechCrunch and CEO and your Mixity and all these other places, but these ones who are doing really well and sometimes under the radar, but just need that little bit of extra help up. So that's it. Video number 2, I'm looking to raise £1 million. Let me rephrase that. Video number 2, I will be raising £1 million, and it will be done in record time. Okay. And it's not about rushing it out. It's just letting you know this is the intent. I'm coming with my chest. I'm bringing a team with me. We are going to build this, and we have a big vision. We've got a big 3 to 5 year vision. And when I say we, I'm already talking about the people that are going to come on board. Although it's only a little me and a couple of assistants and a really fantastic a network of individuals. I have an amazing group called Building Legacy on my WhatsApp group who work with me, and they really help to shape some of the ideas. But we're coming, and we're coming strong. So just watch this space. £1 million, you have been told. Thank you very much for listening. And please go to the website, click on join, and join onto our mailing list and subscribe. And I look forward to filling you in with more videos and more content about what it is that we're going to be doing over the next few months and years. Thank you very much for listening. Peace.